Hello YouTube. It's going to be a video on a YouTuber named Jackie Lowe. That's her name, I believe. A video on, or Jackie Lowe, rather, Lowe, whatever her name is. And 1 minute. Spam. Another reason why I do all this shit, and I'm about to show you one thing. But listen, this is going to be a video on her video about why she is pro circumcision and they're planning on having a child. And she said she would, just be honest. I won't say mutilate, cut the fucking baby because that sounds a lot better. But she said she would cut the baby, and I find that to be troubling. And one reason I'm about to do the following, but first I want to say that, one of many. But on another note, I wanted to say that I have a video on, I have a list of bullet points. I left 2 videos up on the comment section of the video, and she seems to have taken them, and I appreciate that if she did. It's just my opinions. I'm going to read 2 of those comments, but first things first, was, anybody can get. Where's like hell? Anyways, getting on with this, I'll give you a little bit of my fucking daily thing here, whatever this is. Video's gonna suck, I can say it now, but listen, I'm gonna go through my comments I left to her in the comment section, and I think I was polite or respectful, and I totally intend, by the way, for this video to be respectful and nothing but respectful. I'm not trying to attack or insult her in any way. I understand that people believe different things. I feel, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit pissed off, or as if though she was being too dismissive of this issue, trivializing it. I think that it's wrong. I don't think she understands fully what she's talking about. I don't think she wants to understand, and that makes me offended. But she has a right to her opinion, and this is mine, and these are some of the comments I left. Let's see, where did I begin? Oh, here it is. Again, this posting one more comment, right, that's the last one I want to post, but the first one first. If I can get this thing to stop popping up, I apologize. For fuck's sake. Alright, here's the first one. It's not good. This is it. Alright, I got it. Sorry. Stay with my retarded ass. Okay. Again, it's actually the other one. Okay, it appears I only posted, I somehow copied the first one 2 times. Anyways, here it is. Again, just posting one more comment if possible. Circumcision has been proven by various medical organizations to have no medical purposes outside of cases of phimosis, and was beginning in the USA for the same reason female genital mutilation was, and or other parts of the world to kill the sexual sensation by people like John Harvey Kellogg, and can be dangerous. And again, as I said, some forms of female genital mutilation removes only surrounding skin, like male circumcision, and if this is a fact, and even pricking the female clitoris is illegal in America. So in some cases, male genital mutilation can be worse than female genital mutilation. And I do not see why far more invasive surgery should be performed on males. Basically, if the pricking of the female genitals is illegal, that is even worse than a double standard. Sorry for my less than quality writing skills, and thanks for reading this if you did. Okay. I'm not even going over, I don't have the first one, and whatever, I don't feel like going back over it, and that took long enough as it was, and I can see I'm probably not holding your attention anyway, so let me get to my bullet points on this fucking issue. First of all, she goes into detail. It says something to the effect of, she did not want females to make decisions about male genitals. Now, of course, obviously, she's talking about females who are against male genital mutilation. And she goes on to say later on that a lot of the fucking people that she talked to were female, and that's in part because perhaps it's the mother instinct, I don't know, But you are correct. Some of the females out there are pretty cool about this issue, and have a very different view than her in this, and they don't want to do this to their kids. But beyond that, I would just like to say, so you think it's wrong for females? Like, how horrible would that be? Well, me being a guy who is circumcised, I really don't give a damn who's making the decision. I would not want to be. I don't like being. There's other people I have talked to who feel that way. There are plenty of men who are against this shit. And any female who is against this is, very welcome to talk about it, and I appreciate that. And for the females who don't seem to care about male interests and or male children, in that way, you have a right to your opinion. I think that's horrible, and I don't agree with you. But I don't care what gender you are. This is really not about gender. It's really a child's right. It's a rights issue. Whether it's male circumcision or female circumcision, it's a children's rights issue. You're harming a fucking child for nonsensical issues. And as you will go on further to explain things, I will tell you why much of this is wrong. It is reasons you've laid out for why. Because you talk about female genital mutilation as being wrong. And by the way, that is, if you want to talk about gender as having control over those issues, in those countries, oftentimes that is a female line of tradition. That is females deciding for the children. That is really, a lot of that is midwives, and you're right, not medical personnel, but neither is a moral or in many cases the people that perform it in Judaism. In many Islamic religions have people who are not trained specifically to do that. So that's not correct. But going more into detail on this, and I think this came later in the video, I'm not sure, maybe she went over it twice, but differences between male and female genital mutilation are not always vastly different. And that's my point of view, because she tries to say it's very different. And she says in the video, type 1 is the partial or total removal of the clitoris. I didn't even hear it right at the first time, because I was wondering, gee, what is that part? And then she even says it's the clitoral hood. And the majority of circumcisions throughout fucking Middle East and Africa and all over the world, mainly in the Middle East, are clitoral hood removals. And then she goes on to list the other two types that are less common. And obviously, I would agree with her 100% that is worse. But that is illegal here. And what's worse than that is she says earlier, she doesn't understand how we can think female. And she says, by the way, this is totally horrific or something of that nature. And it's like, no, what you're saying is nonsense. If it's the same thing, which you said clitoral hood, that's the female foreskin. That's the same thing. If she had become a board, it's like the clitoris would become a penis, the hood would become a foreskin. It's the same thing. You're removing the same thing. And usually they don't even remove the hood, they would clip the hood. And in America, and this is what I'm about to go into, there was traditions of Islam that simply wanted to prick the clitoris. And there are Jewish traditions now that want to do that with boars, and I support that. I have nothing against what you call bris salam, where you're pricking the boar's penis. That's fine with me. That's not abuse in any way, shape, or form. I'm not against that. And there are Jews now doing that. But I'm talking about in the Islamic tradition, they simply wanted to prick the clitoris of the girl. That's all this was supposed to be. That's all they wanted. And they wouldn't even let them do that. So that is now, I'm sure to your chagrin, or however you say that, to your dismay, you might not like it, but they are questioning that, because there was a case somewhere in America, I think in the Midwest, the Heartland, where they pretty much said, we have no right to legislate over this. It's not even removing anything. We do this to boars. This is a religious, cultural custom, and they're not even removing anything. They're simply pricking the clitoris, and they pretty much would not prosecute the fucking people. So that's changing. That is starting to change. But I don't want that to be legal. I don't care about, but I don't even really want the pricking of the penis to be illegal, or legal rather. I don't think any of this is necessary. I don't see why you're messing around with people's junk or their genitals when they're born. It seems insane to me, and it does no good, and I'm about to go into detail on that. Because she states health facts, and I forget all of them, but they have all been disproven by the AAP, I think, the AAP, or American Academy of Pediatrics, I guess, or the American Pediatrics. It's been misproven. You can look it up. And at first they said that the risk outweighed the benefits, and it was that way for years. Then, largely because of pressure from other outside cultural and religious groups, they said, well, actually, the benefits outweigh the risk, but it's still not significant enough to recommend that anyone do it. So they're still not saying you should do that, and it's still not a very significant chance of that. And the only reason they really changed that was to fucking conform to various religious groups that wanted it done. There's other fucking things, other issues that went on here. If I can ever get this damn thing to work, 1 minute. But I mean, going into detail again, let's look over this. What was it? Oh yeah, I don't care if it's a man that wants to kiss her himself. Look up. Oh, by the way, you're saying before can't remember, and that's one of the reasons. I'm not sure if she said that, but one of the primary reasons is look up that story. I think it was Saving Chase was the name of the group that I was in, and it had to do with the boy who was 6 years old by the time he was mutilated. And that's what this is. I'm sorry if you don't like hearing that word. That's what the fuck it is. You're telling me he couldn't remember because the fucking douchebag father wanted it, and you're right. The mother didn't want it in that case, and there's lots of cases like that. And you're kind of forcing her to do this because of some bizarre thing they have arranged earlier, and the child's rights isn't even taken into consideration. And she goes into detail about, well, we do this for the kids and that, and she compares it to fucking vaccinations, everything else, and this ridiculous crap. But you're not even taking this fucking board, who at this point is certainly going up to remember. You're not even taking his fucking opinion into consideration. And you want to talk to me about female genital mutilation? I'm sorry, never mind. Sorry, no disrespect. Let's see. But she states health facts that are not proven. Then she says then she starts talking about what women like in men later on in life, and she's making that on an assumption. And she says later on, by the time he becomes a teenager, let's say maybe he'll have a sex life, and then some people don't even until they're in their 20s. Different people fuck at different ages. Who the hell knows? Maybe he'll come out of the damn room and just start screaming people. But the point is, by the time he's a teenager, that's not going to be so uncommon. And she goes into fucking detail and says that. This freaking human being that I'm not, this person with a different opinion, she says that. Let's see. But comparing the sex lives of males while talking about children and performing a cosmetic surgery, because you're talking about children as if though they're adults and what they want to do as adults in their sex lives when they become adults and having sex as an adult male. You're talking about a child. Could you imagine if you were talking about a female and you said something like, well, we should do this, that, or the other thing? I don't care what it is to a female because you might get laid easy as an adult. Would that be okay? I mean, that's horrible. And you're performing the only commonly practiced cosmetic surgery, and maybe the only one legal in this country currently, on a freaking infant, and you can only do it to freaking males. And it's a cosmetic surgery that doesn't, as I have this stated, have any of the hygienic or medical benefits you said, unless, and I think I left it out, if they have phimosis. And even in many cases, that's not necessary. You can deal with it in other ways. You can snip a small amount off the tip. You can stretch it. You don't even have to do it then. And that's not even the fucking end of why this, to me, is this outright ridiculous garbage. It goes on. Children are property of, because she then goes on, we do this to the children, we do that to the children, and blah, 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 blah. She talks about vaccination. So what are you saying? Children are property, or they have no right to consent or to anything? You know, and she even talks about abortion. You know, abortions will be performed in back alley. I'll go into that in a minute. Not right to consent or anything, but yet all right, let me start over. Children are a property, or they have no right to consent to anything, but yet, or they have no right to anything, but yet that does not apply when talking about female circumcision. Because again, you're not keeping in mind now that you're not just talking about what's more harmful. You're saying, well, that's the parent's property. You're acting as if though they're a lampshade, in my opinion. They're not. They're a human being. They have a right to, whatever. They can think what they want. They are a human being. Now, obviously, there are decisions a child cannot make. You can't, and I 100% agree that there are certainly parental rights that you have to your child. But that's, do you go to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock? Do you 11 o'clock? Do you fucking, do this, do that, homeschooling, private schooling? Not whether or not we're going to perform a, in my opinion, pretty significant cosmetic surgery on you for no medical reasons, because when you're mutilating a child's genitals, I'm sorry, but I consider that to be pretty fucking considered significant, especially when there is, in many cases, and usually no religious or even cultural, actually not really even cultural reasons for doing this shit, when you've said you can't even do it to females, and you shouldn't be able to do it to females. And again, you want me to go into more fucking detail? Everything's wrong with this. Was originally pushed, and she says that she looked into the issues of genital mutilation. Yeah, maybe it's not exactly solid and it wasn't what he thought it would be, but and people will jerk off even if it decreases sensitivity or sensation. But I can guarantee you, man, children Men do not experience the amount of sexual. Is someone who circumcised? I do not believe I experienced what I would if I wasn't. And I have heard from other people who were circumcised later in life. They have said that, and that's a fucking fact. It's a true fact. It's not as much as what Kellogg thought it was, and he supported doing it to older boys where they would remember it, and he wanted to do it to them without any pain medicine. And by the way, that's something I want to go into that detail. In many hospitals around the country, people don't even know this. You've heard they don't use adequate pain medication because the child's so small. In some cases, to save time, because they just don't want to waste time. They just want to fucking cut up the kid's dick and get it over. They will fucking not use any pain medication in some cases. And I'm not shitting you. I shitted you not, motherfucker. And that has happened in the United States, certainly in other countries. And I'm about to go into the worst part of all in a little while, and she tries to downplay this, and that is horseshit. But again, I'm not saying anything negative about her. She's a human being. She has a right to her opinion. I just wish she would do more research and have a little bit more of an open mind, and maybe not leave all the details open to her husband in this situation. Because in this situation, I don't care who you are. You know, it should matter. The child should matter first, not anyone else. I don't care if it's a male or a female or anything else. This is freaking wrong. But circumcision was originally pushed by John Harvey Kellogg because it reduced, and it did. And he also supported, by the way, not only cutting off women's clitorises, he wanted to put some kind of acid, I can't say the word, acid on the child's clitoris. He wanted to do that to girls to keep them from masturbating or having sex. That's a freaking fact. This is some brutal, primitive goddamn shit that they were doing. Look it up. Look up John Harvey Kellogg and tell me that was not the case and that was not what they were doing. Then she brings up abortion. Women will have an abortion in the back alley. Women will have abortion. Hey, by the way, they're killing kids in New York after they're born now. That one racist cocksucker wanted to do it in Virginia. Hey, I'm all for first trimester abortions, but you know what? If you want to kill a kid after it's fucking born, I don't really give a shit. In my opinion, you can go to jail any damn way. That's not an abortion. But as far as a first trimester abortion goes, yeah, because there's a big difference between trying out part of a kid's dick, because you want to do that, and having to take care of a child for the next 18 years that you cannot financially take care of or afford to take care of. Do you honestly think that that's a freaking fact? And since she makes light of the low botch circumcision rates, let me tell you something. No, it's not just botch circumcision. I'm talking castration of some children. There was a kid who had, you said 1%. Maybe it would matter to you if that 1% does turn out to be your kid that you say you're going to mutilate. And I'm not sure it's that low. It's between 80 to 120. Maybe that's fucking 1%. But guess what? That's still a lot of kids. 80 to 100 children a year is too damn many kids to die for something that doesn't seem to make sense, and we don't even know why we're doing this shit. And I don't see how you can disagree with that. And that's about that. And before she ended it, she said something about, oh yeah, Time magazine, because of left-wing, largely feminist proposals, and I'm not even bringing that into this. They want to talk about, they want to promote women wearing things all over themselves. First of all, you're talking about largely adult females and females who want to do that, I'm guessing. But even if you're not talking about females that want to freaking do that, you're going to take that out now on a fucking male child born in a different fucking part of the world? And even if they migrate to this part of the world, and then Democrats and people say, well, they should be able to do that. How in the hell is that the fucking kid's fault? How does that play into this at all? So what, you're taking, to me, that makes it sound like you're taking out what you perceive as male injustice on a kid that was born 5 fucking minutes ago, or whenever the hell he was, as if he had anything to do with this. And you, from the person who didn't want females talking to you about why you shouldn't mutilate a kid. Look, again, I'm not disrespecting this person. I hope you all the best in your life. I hope your child the best. I hope you the best. Your father, or your husband, rather, the best. Whoever the best. I'm just saying, I found this to be disgusting. It was irritating to me. I have drinking issues. This fucking further adds to that. I don't like this. I'm circumcised. I think I have a right to have an opinion on this. I know what I'm talking about. I've researched this shit. It's not okay. It is wrong, and I don't agree with you. But hey, P666.